How good is music?
Brings back so many memories.
Does it actually?
You wouldn't have had Kahoot in like high school, would you? You've been too old.
Yeah, I never had it.
Yeah.
Mikey is coming on as well, Hads.
Do you want me to leave?
So, what? No.
So Mikey's coming on?
Yeah, he's coming on like very shortly.
Yeah, I can, if you got too many, I can.
No. Four's a decent amount. We just try not to plan to have 4. But...
Who has baby legs?
Oh, we're live, eh? We are live. Fuck, we got 39 people watching already.
That's just YouTube?
Nah, it's on both.
No, I'll put it on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Sav equals weak gut dog.
Where's that? Oh, we're getting a few joins.
Savs has baby legs. Jeez, they're all targeting you this week, Savs. They might be my mates, actually. They might be targeting you for once.
It could be. It could be. They've probably had enough of. Pretty much had every insult in the book for you.
Glad.
All right, so we got 14. We got Sav, we got Dogs, Sav. We got Jamin Salmon. We've got Jamin Salmon. We've got My Hearthpongs. We've got Capel's Glory. We have someone's put the game code in. I actually really like that name. That's a pretty we got Teddy Season. We got Edric Lee. We got the Panther Dogs. Battered Savs. All right, I guess. Oh.
What?
Nice.
Oh, yes.
About time.
Mate, they've just got all the names that are usually me and just replaced it with you. I like it.
21. Midget Mikey.
Yeah, Joshua Campbell not attack Jack this week.
Well, can he win? Because he's already won, hasn't he?
No, it was a different one of my mates makes fun of me that won. He hasn't won.
All right, so Jake did the test today, so I will have a guess before everyone, and me and Hads will have a guess, I guess.
I'm in the Kahoot, mate.
He's playing.
Oh, you're in
I've
the Kahoot?
joined.
Are you in, Jake?
Well, I know the questions.
You made the questions, didn't you? Oh, mate, there's no point in me showing up if I can't play. I want to play.
All right, I'm playing then.
Yeah, you can play. Yep, you can play, Savs.
I'm going to join, and then after I join, people are leaving. I reckon people are leaving so they can join with another name. Boo-hoo. Added Sav. I'm liking the interactions today. Sav, we got dog. All right. We're at about 25. So let's go. Kahoot at home, TLT round 8. Pre-TLT, who is not in the top 5 most traded in? Will Penasini, Jared Croker, Hayes Dunster, or Max King?
It's actually changed because there's now 2 of these outside the top 5.
How many people are in the Kahoot?
I think like 25. Will Penasini.
Now, Max King is at the moment not, but pre-TLT he was actually out. So he was inside.
Yeah, that's why you did preface with pre-TLT. First is Hads. Second is Hads Bowl Slow. Who has a birthday today?
Sav's favourite question this one.
Talakai, Lindsay Collins, Will Kennedy, Seb Chris. Hads would know this because I said it in the chat today.
No.
And if you're following...
There's actually two players. Talakai and Kennedy. Both Sharkies.
Far out. It's weird because like Tago and Kickout had the same birthday as well. Or like a day apart. Who made the most cash this week? Nathan Cleary, Cody Walker, Latrell Mitchell, or Nico Hines?
All guns.
Oh.
Oh.
I think I've got this wrong. I put in Latrell Mitchell, but I think it might be Nathan Cleary. Or Cody Walker. Jesus, they all made about 100K. I put in Latrell Mitchell. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm the person that pressed next. Hads Bowl Slow is first.
I'd love to know who that is.
Someone's giving it to him.
Who has the lowest break-even? Ravawala, Junior Tupou, Jacob Host, or Latrell Mitchell? Oh.
There's actually someone that has a lower one, but I didn't include him in this because he hasn't been weeks.
I'm putting Junior Tupou because he had a massive game against Parramatta, and a lot of people else did. And I just looked at Jacob Host break-even earlier. It was only minus 14, so...
Hads Bowl Slow has a massive lead.
Who holds a record for the lowest ever Supercoach score? Is it Herman SASE, Will Kennedy, Carl Lawton, or Trent Hodgkinson?
I've frozen here. I need the answer fast too.
I thought I knew this answer. I put in Trent Hodgkinson.
Now Carl Lawton beat him a couple of years ago.
Right. Well, Hads Bowl Slow is me, by the way. So,
yeah. Ryan, how's he answering so fast? Because everyone else answering is going to be behind.
Order from highest to lowest round 7 Supercoach score.
So you got Reece Walsh, Cody Walker, Blake Brayley, Will Penasini, and Green. You got to put him in order.
I'm bombing this because I don't want to come first. I think it's Walker, Walsh, Brayley, Penasini.
You would be correct.
But I purposely got it wrong, so someone else. Oh, fuck, I'm still ahead.
You're ahead by a mile,
well, that's all right. Whoever's in second gets the
highest averaging second row forward. Zach Hosking, Dave Fafita, Ryan Madison, or Brent Nickera. He was averaging 75 before the week gone. Fafita, I don't know what he's at. Hosking. Madison could be the guy. Hosking.
Geez, they're spread answers there. The podium, I think we ignore first.
Third, the Panther Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Second,
9496412. Whoever that is, let us know. Because Hads Bowl Slow has been disqualified.
Yep. So whoever 9496412, the rightful winner, I think it only makes sense
it was only
for.
by 7 points as well. Close one.
Sorry.
It was only by 7 points.
It was.
Tried his best to lose it.
Let's start the show.
Let's go.
Oh.
I'd like some
Sorry, wrong audio.
Mikey and his magic middies. Will they get you over the line this season? Will Jake have Tedesco this week? Maxie, the consistent keeper. Ryan Hadley, Australia's next test fast bowler. Timmy, the 2020 SuperCoach champion. And Sav's the Newcastle. Tommy Turbo tragic.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
All right. Here we go.
You're now listening to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the SuperCoach Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Savage, the coach of the Jamin Salmons. Round 8 TLT has just dropped, and wow, there's some angry Sammy Walker fans out there. I'm joined by a different panel today. The coach of Kiss My Behinds, Jake. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Since I've last been on, I've had 2 good weeks and I flew up the rankings. So hopefully this is not the curse. I'm going backwards. So hopefully I'll keep it going.
Very good. And we've also got the coach of 2GB, Ryan Hadley. How are you, Ryan?
Good. I think this is the curse because I had a few good weeks in a row. It came on last week and had an absolute shocker. So be careful, Jake.
The curse is real on the SuperCoach Experience show. But, guys, I was expecting last week to be a holding week, and I held. I went up about 60 spots. I only scored about 1,060, but I'm pretty happy with that considering I didn't have Hines. The priority this week is obviously to get in Hines. But, Jake, what are you looking at doing this week?
When I look at all the weeks, I think this one's kind of the most open week in terms of where you can go. Like, there's not one set plan, no set cheapies this week. So I think it's very open, and now's the time to sort of choose your own player rather than choose what everyone's going. And there's a lot of options this week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going through with it. I got a few pod trade-ins, but this TLT thrown a bit of spanners because it's quite a lot of TLT news in this week.
There is so much. As I said, Sam Walker off the top of the bat. It hasn't officially. It didn't get released straight on 4 o'clock because the game. It is very weird, the lineup of games this week. It goes, we got 1 on Friday, 1 on Thursday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, 2 Sunday, none Monday, 2 Tuesday. So it's going to be a weird week of SuperCoach. Hads, what are you looking at doing this week? And what are you doing?
Yeah, I was looking pretty set. All I kind of wanted to come out of it was a little cheapie somewhere that didn't happen, and then the Manu news came about, and it's just thrown an absolute spanner in the works. And there's group chats going off, deluxe going. Is he going to stay there? What's going to happen? Who's kicking goals? How long's he going to be there for? When's Walker going to be back? Because I think he will be eventually, but if they come out and dust the Dragons this week, who knows? So sorry, spanner in the works. So now I've got some time to think about it, but it's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's very interesting, but I guess we're here to do a podcast to pretty much talk about it, but we will get to it. Guys, before I do move on to the next segment, we've got a 4th guest here who was planning on coming on for just depending on work, but it's Mikey, the coach of Trip Jack and Mafia. How are you, mate?
Good, boys. Good to finally be back. I feel like I've had a pretty long layoff, so I've come back from my injury, so it's good to be here.
He called me just before, just asking if he could come on still because he's on another podcast tonight, so he didn't want to dog the boys. So cheers for coming on, mate. How are you going this year? And you started pretty hot.
Yeah, I've had a good start. I think we're all, the 4 of us here, we're all in a pretty good spot. So a bit disappointed with the past fortnight. I've dropped back. I was at 720 3 weeks ago. I'm now at 1,900. Still good. Like, it's just one big week. Like, as Jake can tell you, one big week away from zipping back in there. So, I'm excited for team lists. I altered my trades from the ones I said earlier. So, keen to get in. I think it's going to be a big week. I think there's lots of captain options. I only scored about 1,030 last week. Karaz screwed me, but his injury has opened up a plethora of options. So, keen for that.
With the amount of options that there are this week, guys, what do we see the right amount of boosts being left? Because a lot of people are using the boost option to make sure they're getting the guy that they want this week and in previous weeks. What kind of number are you comfortable with, Hadley?
I've already used 2, and I'm probably going to use another one now. So I think if you can set up the main Corey side early, and then try to save those couple for the buys or right at the back end. Or Timmy was saying last week, he's pretty focused on his head-to-heads this year. So I think my mantra this year is just to set up my team as early as I can with as many guns as I can in the key positions, and hopefully I can sort out from there. But I don't plan on using those last couple anytime soon, but we know how these things go.
For sure. Jake, what number do you have in mind? And do you think it's worth the tactic? It doesn't really matter, just as long as you've got trades up your sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you've got trades towards the end. And if you're using a boost, it's like saving one the week after. So I've used 3. I think the only reason you want to use them is if you're fixing your side or you kind of need 3. If you're just using a boost for the sake of it, just to kind of go a sideways player, I think it's probably a bit of a waste. We could get 3 injuries next week or something like that. So I think you kind of.
Did anyone hear Jake just then?
Yeah, I can, but he's pretty soft.
Not well, yeah.
It's Jake. You got to fix some issue there right
Hello.
there. Yes, I think that's better. Mikey, you got a bit of a buzz coming through, so maybe sort that out as well. There's like a bzzz.
I'll try and take this off right. Yeah, hang on.
That's way better.
That's because he's muted, I think.
Because he's muted.
That's
Way better.
And I can't hear him now anyway. So once he sorts that out, guys, for Thursday and Friday, Picklebet are still running their first try scorer promo. So if you bet on the first try scorer and they score second or third in the AFL or the NRL, they'll pay you back a max winning of $100. Use the code TURBO to gain access. Rabbitohs versus Panthers on the Thursday night. I think Brian To'o is a good shout to go over. The Rabbitohs have struggled on their left edge, and Brian To'o he's been a good, nice try scorer this year. So I think To'o's the one in that game. Eels versus Broncos on the Friday night. The Eels have struggled against their left side defense as well. So Cobbo, maybe we'll get a multi going for that, but I like them too. So if you put a bet on for them, max winning of $100. But make sure to know what you're gambling with. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Mikey, you got us? No, you don't. we can't hear you, mate. Maybe. Yeah, yep, he's out.
See you, mate.
All right, lads, winners and losers from the team list this week. Zach Hosking, $584,000 with a 58 break even. The injury to Liam Martin, he's aggravated that hamstring injury. Guys, what's our thoughts on him and what are our plans with him moving forward, Hads, as the Penrith supporter?
Yeah, as the resident Panthers fan, I think he could have almost been on the winners list last week. Luke Garner and Lindsay Smith ended up playing New South Wales Cup when Martin was back, so it looked like that he'd won that spot on the edge for Penrith, which was good. I'll hold him for the time being. He's a pretty safe play, I think. And I even think when Martin does recover from his second hamstring injury, I assume he'll hold his spot there as well. All things keep going the way they are.
That's it. Mikey, Zach Hosking, plans moving forward.
Can you hear me first?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. It works. All right, cool. All right, go.
Yeah. So Zach Hosking, $584,000, 58 break even. Liam Martin aggravated that injury again. Scott Sorensen on the bench and Luke Garner on the extended. That's only a win for him, but I guess the question is now, what's the plan moving forward for Hosking?
Panthers don't play the first bye, but since most people brought him in, he hasn't scored under 60. So that's perfect for that price. If he can hold a 60 average, he's not going to he'll fluctuate from that price. So I think he's a steady hold until that drops. Like if he's punching out 60 without tries, Panthers play the Tigers very soon. They play the Warriors next week, who have been great, but their draws hard, good. It's a roller coaster. So I would, there's no reason to sell. I think he's been a good purchase for anyone that's brought him in. So, and I think Garner will come back into the side league. I've got a feeling that maybe they drop Eisenhoof and they switch Sorrow to front row and Garner will come onto the edge. I reckon it's only a matter of time till Ivan brings him back in for another go.
I don't think that's a bad shout at all. We've got a comment here from James Austin. Wish Crichton would pass him the ball more. Jake, I think it's the other side of the field we've got to worry about more with Tago.
Both of them like that.
Yeah.
Crichton's actually been Crichton's actually been all right, but
He's been good this year. Better than last
Taruva
year.
can't get any attacking ball.
Yeah, and I think it kind of comes from Luai as well, and having they've had a different second row there every single week, so they're kind of getting the combinations a bit out, and I think that's why he's not getting quality ball. But I know what James is saying. There was because I brought in Toto last week, and there was one time where Toto was unmarked and Crichton just threw the dummy and got tackled, and I was like, why don't you just pass the ball?
That's a good segue, Stabs, to Taruva. Do we think he's a hold with his break even going to 57? Yeah, he hasn't scored any try with a line break yet, but with the way Tago's going and he's playing awesome, would you sell with the 57 break even? Like they've got the Bunnies, they've got the Warriors next week.
I think you can sell.
Okay.
You can sell, but he's not an urgent sell. Like I think you can't Pierre as Warbrick is probably at his peak. I'd probably go Warbrick, Khan Pierre, and then Taruva as a sell in order.
I'm selling Taruva this week with a hot take. I'm selling him over Warbrick. I think Warbrick's got a bit more to give.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't hate it at all. Jacob Host, 392,000. I floated the idea of him as a cheapie last week at 209. I think he was 290,000 last week, and he's gone up 100K with a break even of -14 again. I mean, you wouldn't be buying him now, but pretty lucky and pretty good for owners.
Yeah, those that jumped on him a week or two ago cheering. Colin Matangi going down injured, so Host is pretty much locked into 80. Cheekham will come in, but I think they might spell Jed Cartwright with Cheekham perhaps. Not a flashy player, Jacob Host, but playing for South Sydney, you get his tackles, he runs, and there's a chance of attacking upside, but probably not one that you're going to be trading in this week, given that he's now 400K.
Yeah, that's it. Hayes Dunster named to start with Bailey Simonson named on the extended bench. We got a bit of mail from you, Jake. It wasn't solo mail, but the mail was it's Hayes Dunster's position over Simonson when he comes back. He just pretty much had to perform enough. He was a bit sketchy in the last few weeks, but he's been named start 38 break even, so you don't have to jump on him. But Hads, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, did we bring it up last week? I think we might have, and I just said something like he didn't pass any of my eye tests.
He scored 7.
Yeah,
came out last week, scored 27. So
yeah, I think that kind of speaks for itself. I think unless Para really flying and he's scoring heaps of tries, I don't know if he's anywhere I can touch. If potentially, if you are downgrading your Taruvas or Warbricks or Khan Pierres, and you're desperate for someone like him or Croker or something like that, he could be an option, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sold.
Jake?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Hopefully we get a little bit more out of him this week, and he might be a downgrade option for next week. His pricing going to be too crazy. He's got 38 break even, so it's not like he's going to be out of reach for a cheapie. So hopefully he shows something this week, and then we can jump on him next week.
Mikey, I don't know whether to call this a win or a loss, but Jermaine Hopgood's been named on the bench. I've got him in as a winner just because he was named to start late last week, and I think that could be the case moving forward. If that's not the case, this is swapped to Bryce Cartwright, but what's your read on both of these guys? So I've got Jermaine Hopgood as a win at the moment and a hold, but I could see a case for either option.
Yeah, look, if you manage not to sell when he got named on the bench, there'd be no reason not to, I'd hold him for a bit longer. The buy's incoming, and if you can hold on to these Parramatta players, I definitely would. Do I think they're going to switch again? Yeah, I do. Maybe the only difference this week is Josh Hodgson's been named. I don't know if they wanted to have a utility on the bench, although Hands played 80 minutes. Maybe that was the thought process. They switched him to 14, but I guess it depends where they want to play Matto as well. It doesn't really matter. I think, Matto looks personally better on the edge. So, and same with Cartwright. I was selling him to Matto this week, but I've changed that trade. Purely, he's got a break even at 36. So even if he gets dropped onto the bench, I don't think he's a desperate sell. He managed to score about just above 30 points off the bench last week. So he'd probably be a sell next week if he keeps getting a bench spot.
Hads, what are your thoughts on Jermaine Hopgood?
Yeah, I was one of the original sellers when he got moved, and then I saw him start the other day, and I was absolutely kicking myself. But the point that Mikey brings up about the utility on the bench with Bryce Cartwright, I think is an interesting one to look at going forward now that Hodgson's back. There is a world where I'm selling Cartwright now that he's back to the bench, even though he does play that bye. It's just I think it's either him or Preston for me that probably has to go to free up some cash for your Garricks and your whoever else I decide to put in. It was going to be a Todd now, maybe a Manu or something like that. But yeah, Mikey brought that point that is really making me consider holding him. I think they might keep it that 13 this week.
Cardi is actually a very interesting one. I actually sold him last week and I didn't feel right about it, but him being named on the bench, I think there's going to be a lot of that back and forward stuff happening. So I think you've probably got to let go of him before the bye. He's been amazing to start the season, probably one of the more underrated cheapies to start the year. But moving on to one of the other winners, Jake, I've put this in here on purpose to speak to you about him, but Sione Katoa at 500,000, 63 break even. The only reason I put him as a win is because Declan Casey was named on the wing that is marking him. You keen on him?
I'm definitely keen on him. I'm bringing him in. I wanted a Sharks back with their dream run that they have, and he's lost 130k. Is it getting him a 130k discount for 500k? Ideally, if you had the money, I'd probably want Ronaldo. The left edge is probably more the way we go, but either edge, the Dogs got absolutely tore apart last week. So, well, there you go, Sammy Mac.
Sammy Mac says no Savs. I hate that was my buy. Don't hate me. It was Jake's buy. Hate me for putting it in there and talking about it.
I don't think it's too much of a secret though. I don't know if we're spoiling too many parties.
That's it. Everyone knows about Katoa, but I think this week especially, just Declan Casey on the wing. He's been quite good in centre and fullback, but I don't know if you remember his debut. He played on the wing. Had an absolute shocker. So I think that's why I'd be very keen on it. But Hads Katoa, or are you looking at someone else a bit more pottish?
No, he's one that I've looked at. I agree. Mulatalo is probably the better option if you can afford him. This week is a week I've kind of identified. I wanted to make a little bit of a different move, and with the Manu news, I think a lot of people are going to be going. They're going to be going him. And Jake, I didn't check before we came on, but you said he was in one of the top board already, Manu. So if I can steer clear away from that and go someone a little bit different, I think Katoa could be one of those options.
Mikey, Jacob Preston retains his spot on the left edge through the kick-out injury. Jacob Preston, he looks much better on the left than he is on the right. Moving forward, though, Jacob Preston, do you see him being in your plans to sell or to hold on to?
I'm on the fence. There's no incline to sell yet, but he does have a break-even of 78. And if he doesn't jag a few attacking stats, which he did on the weekend with a try contribution, and I think it was a line break assist, he would have been at the 40s. So his base is about at 40 without attacking stats. And if he has weeks where he doesn't get those attacking stats, and if he's going to start averaging around that 40 mark, I'd be selling because his price at 550 and at a high average. So not worried about that break even this week. I'll play him. He's just got such a SuperCoach friendly game when he's on. So no plan to sell yet, but definitely if he gets a 40, I could consider selling him next week to Ryan Madison. But yeah, no rush to sell him. I think he's a good hold for now. But if you get him Ryan Madison and you really want Ryan Madison, I'd go for it.
Hads, you mentioned before that Preston is on your list to sell. Why is that?
Yeah, as Mike said, I think he needs those attacking stats in those last couple of weeks. Was he gone? Apart from his 100, he went 34 where he got binned, 60 where he had those try contributions, and there's a couple of 40s littered in there as well. Bulldogs aren't going great. Their draw opens up a little bit with St George and Canberra coming out. But if I'm targeting a couple of centre wings this week, and if it was a cheapie in the second row that kind of popped up this week, I think he'd almost be gone for me this week. Unfortunately, that's probably not the case. And if you are upgrading to Madison, which I'm probably not this week, I would seriously consider selling him now. And it goes back to that kind of Burton theory that I spoke about at the start of the year. If you get rid of someone a week or two too early, or you're not quite backing them, you're not 100% sure, the guy you're going to is a guy you're going to for a reason. And don't dwell on those things that you might have missed out on, that 20, 30K, 40K that you might make, because chances are the guy you're going to is either going to get that in points value or make that money themselves. So if you're thinking about it, I wouldn't hesitate pulling the trigger now.
Well, that's it. I think personally myself, Preston is going this week because he's my only avenue to Hines, and I don't feel great about it, but my second row is pretty good at the moment. I've got your Katoas, I honestly couldn't tell you up the top of my head who I have in my side at the moment, but Katoa, Fafita, my back row is good enough at the moment, so he's out so I can get Hines in, and I think if you're getting someone like a Hines, upgrading to Fafita, Madison, Garrick or Manu this week, I think go for it because these guys are the guys that are going to hurt you by not having them. Whereas Preston, he's kind of someone who everyone has, and it doesn't really hurt if he it's not really hurting his scores lately. Mikey, I want to talk to you about this one. Kalen Ponga is named to return, 530,000, 90 break even. He could be very close to 450, 400K very soon. Could you eye him off at 5'8" potentially?
I started with him, got a bit burned, but I'd definitely bring him back in if he goes to the price you said, especially with, I've got Isaiah Katoa in that 5'8" spot, and he's bumming along. He's the most slow-burning half I've ever seen in SuperCoach, and he could be a perfect trade for like 150K extra. You could nab Ponga. I think that would be a no-brainer, but the concussion's a bit of worry. I'd like to see it a little bit, but having a look at the Knights team, they played really well against the Panthers last week. I'm tipping them for an upset this week, and I like that they put Gamble in the utility, and if Ponga can slot in and continue to do with the form of the Knights, and why wouldn't you bring him in?
What was I going to say? Well, what were you saying just then?
About the lineup?
I had something really nice to say.
Talking about the Knights lineup and tipping them, and I don't know, you missed it.
I don't know about Gamble utility or something.
No, he actually could goal kick as well because Miller's hasn't been doing the greatest.
The game, Miller.
Hastings' legs cooked or whatever he said.
I reckon he probably will kick. He had a head injury, so
there's a very good chance he does kick. But Jake, do you think this benefits or hinders the likes of Marju and Miller? Because the minute Ponga went out, Miller went nuts. What do you think?
Marju hasn't been there for...
Yeah, Marju hasn't been there. I think it helps Marju 100%.
Yeah.
They will play left side and he can throw a pass, cut out pass straight to him. I think it might hurt Miller. Miller was still plugging out 50s, but there wasn't many attacking stats when he wasn't there. I don't know, so it's an interesting one, but I think Miller, regardless, I think he's going to be a hold to the bye anyway. So, he's been averaging something ridiculous anyway, Miller. So just a little bit of a, 5-10 point reduction is not going to hurt him that bad. He's
nearly 800K, which is crazy. Hads, Phoenix Crossland, 297,000, halfback 5'8" with a 2 break even. If you've got to jump on him, you've got to jump on him this week. What are your thoughts on him? He looked pretty good at hooker.
Yeah, he was better than I thought. Let's put it that way. I'm not a massive fan of Phoenix as a footy player, and it probably hasn't helped that he's played everywhere. He's played off the bench. He's played in the halves. He's done everything. I can't really see a world where people would need that kind of player unless they're downgrading the hooker or something. But by now, you should be looking to get Cleary and Hines, I think, anyway, as your 2 halves. So then that kind of leaves you that you can't really have to squeeze him in there, and then as your second hooker, I suppose, if you need to. But yeah,
he's available at 5'8". He's available.
Oh, is he?
Yep, 5'8". Let me throw this scenario at you, Mikey. If you could sell a Jackson Ford and bank 150K by going to Phoenix Crossland, would you do it?
If you needed that money for, in your case, that would get you Hines or get you a big player this week. Even maybe if you really wanted Manu or a Garrick, maybe. But yeah,
Ford, this is a question from you, Sav.
40.
No, not at all.
Yeah, without attacking stats, he sits at about a 40, but he's still got that 70 in his rolling average. So I'd at least want to readdress it to next week because I'm pretty sure the Warriors play the bye. So if he can somehow keep getting attacking stats and stay afloat, he could be a handy play in the bye. So I know we're still a few weeks out, but I'm starting to think about, that. I think it's important to.
It's a real good thing to think of because people have been going quite well, burning trades and things like that. But has anyone looked at their buy numbers? I looked at it the other day. I'm actually sitting okay. I've got about 8 players, so I don't really have to worry about it till 3 weeks prior. But
I'm at 10.
Jake, you're at 10. Geez, you're better off than I am. Just remember it's top 13. But I think I do want to aim to have 14 just in case.
15, I reckon.
Even 15. I think that'd be a very good tactic. And I won't go out of my way to do it, but I'll aim to have that and make sure I've saved trades. But Jake, have you looked at it and what's your kind of tactic leading into the buys?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of looked at it. Kind of the old thing is if you're choosing one player or the other, choose the one that maybe has a buy in round 13. I've got, I think, 8 as well, Sav. So I'm happy with that number. There's 5 weeks until the buy. So if I can, I've got players that I want to pick up on the ways. And as long as I kind of have a plan on what plays I want then, and then if others fall in, fair enough. I just on that Katoa one, another guy who, Finney's Cross and Katoa Finney's Cross, another guy who's might pop up is Brandon Wakeham. He'll goal kick for the Tigers. If only the Tigers are a bit better at scoring tries, but he's also at 267K, I think.
Right.
He could be another one. Doesn't play the buy though, so it's a bit of a.
Well, I haven't got him on the list at the moment, but there is another cheapie in that side, which we will talk about. But on the other side of the park for the Newcastle game, Jack Gazewski, 246,000 with their front row crisis. I guess we can tie Ruben Cotter into this 558 with no Taumalolo. He interested in any of these guys?
Not really for my unless you're getting them in, just kind of, suit your team or if it suits your specific situation. I'm not really looking at them though. But the Cotter one's interesting. I'd like to see how he goes at lock and how many minutes he plays and whatnot. How long's Tamalolo out for? It's like 4 to 6 weeks or something, isn't it?
6 weeks or something. Won't be back till around 30.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Mikey, Jerome Buller, fullback only for the Tigers. Obviously, you don't go and buy him this week, and you don't even go buy him at all, really, because he's fullback only. But
he's at the Tigers.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know anything about him. But
fullback only.
I'm excited that they're playing Manly this week. Surely, if he sucks at defending, Tommy and Ruben Garrick will have a field day against him. So, you know what Cherry Evans like? He's going to definitely pepper him and test him out. So I don't know anything about him, but I'm assuming he's Fijian with that name. So I'm sorry if I offended him, but who knows? So I think he could. It's one to watch. If Manly are on, he's going to have a lot of traffic go his way. So Garrick for 150. That's
it. Turbo looked very good last week, and I'm very scared not owning Garrick this week. But we got some questions here, guys. We've got Dodgy by saying I'm better off round 13 to 14. Could see many short-sighted people getting caught out by around 16, even around 14 for some. So I think that round 3 teams have the bye instead of the one. So you are missing a few players, and you've also got Origin players who potentially won't back up. So I think that's
important to note, Sabs. I didn't realize it. There's 5 games on the normal bye rounds instead of 4. So you only got 7 teams on a bye.
Right.
For all 3 of the 13, 16, and 19, if you didn't realize, there's actually 5 games on. So technically you get more diversity with who you can choose. An extra 2 teams.
So it's not as you've got more teams and you're more likely to have a team not playing the bye if you've just got them anyway. So
which does, as he just mentioned, complicates 14 and 16 and that because more people have to have a bye. But
Trey Wheelhouse, Mikey loves Mikey.
That mullet, Mike, is looking nice.
It's looking messy.
Zim Vader, always fantastic listen. Thanks for doing what you do. Cheers, guys. Moving on to Ruben Garrick. 700,000, 127 break even. Who's getting him in this week?
Fucking oath.
Yep.
I'll speak to these guys. Mikey, why are you getting him in at such a high break even? I just want to start by saying here, hats off to super coaches for finally playing eyes up super coach and not buying the person who got the highest the week before, because that's how Supercoach has been trending lately. The person who's got the highest score the week before, he's been the most traded in the next week. Garrick has a high break even. He's at a pretty high price, but Supercoaches are smart enough to see that he's got a good draw and he's a good buy. So hats off to Supercoaches for identifying that. And Mikey, you're one of them. Is that pretty much why?
Well, break evens aren't everything. Like, Manly play the first bye round. In my eyes, he's someone that could be a captaincy option for that round, and he'll damage you if you don't own him. I knew I was going to have to own him at some point, and due to that low score, we can get him a touch cheaper than what he was before, and that is the only reason why his price and his break even so high. You take that out, and his average is high. He wouldn't have come down that little bit. He would have kept going up. Even when he's not scoring tries, he just seemed to got this super coach base. I don't even know how he's scoring his points, but he's getting them. And I wanted to do something similar like Jake and get Sione Katoa and kind of shift that money. But when I thought about it, when Carraz going down, Garrick's the number one replacement. Just high break even, but he's versing the Tigers. I'm not 100% sure what side. I'm hoping it's Stain's side, but I guess if he goes over to Tupu's side, it's not going to really matter. So I just hope they're wrong, because sometimes Manly have a good thing of losing to teams they shouldn't. So, I think he's going to have a field day, and he's a captain option. And you know what I mean? From Carraz to him, you're not spending that much money. So, to me, it was a no-brainer. And I know Hads is in a similar position to I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Preaching to the choir. The choir. The only thing that scares me is Manly playing poorly. And they were good last week,
100%.
which made me really happy. And as long as Tommy comes back to playing really well, I think what Tommy does really influences the upper ceiling of Garrick. But like you said, Mikey just somehow manages to score points, and obviously one of the elite goal kickers has always getting points that way. And Manly have generally, apart from when we played them the other week, generally have plenty of points in them.
Any worries Tigers come off the bye and might actually turn up?
No,
They might.
No worries.
For a little bit.
Yeah, they might have turned up for the first 6 rounds and they didn't. So
I think their roster's just not quite there.
Look at 1
in my
to 7,
opinion.
and that answers your question.
Yeah. Jake, Joey Manu, 623,000 with 110 break even, named at 5'8" this week with Sammy Walker being dropped. He played against St. George last year at 5'8", scored 191 in that game. The Anzac Day clash,
the fake calf injury.
Fake injury. The Anzac Day clash is always a bit tighter than the later season clashes with these two.
Dragons won last year, I'm pretty sure.
It's very hard to pass up though.
It's the same boat as, I guess, Ruben Garrick, that these players can go big. They're playing low teams. I know we just said that it's generally closer in the Anzac clash, but the Dragons have been quite poor. It's another, just like Garrick, Manu's the one. If you're not bringing him in, it's going to be a nervous watch, because we know what he can do when he's got his hands on the ball, not standing out in the centres for 80 minutes. But I don't think any of us are bringing him. Savs, you're staying off him as well.
Guilty. I'm bringing him in. There's no way I'm not bringing him in.
He's bringing him in.
Yeah, I'm going if you can't
centers.
choose between the two, get them both. So I'm sacrificing that for him. His average at home is crazy. There's no way.
Mikey, what happens if this week, it's a close game against the Dragons, he gets 50. Next week they play the Warriors, who've been defending well at Mount Smart. And then he goes back to the centres, and Walker or Hutchinson comes in. What do you do then?
He's at 177K discount. And the big thing is, have a look at that Roosters bench and their forward pack. And this merits anyone thinking of bringing back Tedesco, because these kind of players go to another level when they've got that big forward pack behind them. They've got Tupanua's back on the bench. Angus Crichton's back there. Their forward pack's starting to come together. And I don't expect Manu to be there for long term, but with how hot and cold the Dragons are, having him at 5'8" for a couple of weeks, even if he goes back to the centre wing, if he goes and scores 150 plus, he's only owned by 3%, obviously going to go up. But that's a way that I can keep shooting up the rankings. So to me, I'm selling Taruva to him. So I'm doing 3 trades all in my centre wing this week. And having a look and having Manu and Garrick there, even in centre wing, 620K, I'm happy for him to sit there. Like, you're going to want him for when he's on his bye, when eventually he plays the bye round. So I'm in an ard, but I reckon if Roosters start to get on a roll and win, why would they take him out of 5'8"? So it's too scary watching him against the Dragons. I reckon he's going to go absolutely bananas.
Would you go
got a comment
if you had home? Sorry, Sabs. This is me being selfish and asking you blokes for my own personal.
Don't make me alter you. Don't make me alter
If you had Holmes, I know Holmes plays the bye. Would you consider going Holmes to Manu?
He doesn't.
Because for me, Holmes is
play
on.
Holmes will play Origin.
Holmes
So-
will play Origin.
Of course.
He'll play, but
So-
as a Holmes owner, I don't think I could do the Holmes to Manu. But if you think Manu's going to go as crazy as what I do,
That's my thing. I'd prefer to be watching Holmes and not
probably
owning him than watching Manu and not owning him.
it's just him in 5'8". He's going to get more ball. And whenever he gets more ball in these 5'8" fullback roles, I didn't have him at that 190 last year, and then we all jumped on him after it. And I know what you're saying with the Anzac clash, but the Roosters have been very poor. Maybe time for him to start smashing people. And that
We've got a question here. Nervous watch for two blokes at 120 break even. What bud you boys smoking this week? I want the details of the dealer you're getting it from. I think this is the exact mindset you've got to shift from having, because if you're looking at only break evens or break evens only, Mikey, you're going to hold these guys for a significant amount of time. That money doesn't matter. Hopefully for the rest of the season. If not, they're going to hit it. They're going to hit their break even and go up in money eventually. So.
Yeah, I want to come back to that question next week, and then we'll see how we're going. Because I'm telling you, like, money's not everything. Have a look at your team value. I think my team value is like 14.3. Like, it's awesome. So if you've got all this value, and I feel like I'm happy with how it's going, I don't really need to worry about break evens all the time. Like, I'm getting rid of two guys with crappy break evens and low base to two guys that have ceilings of 150 to 200. So. You know, sitting at our ranks too, this move, like if they both go above 100, that's going to sit me in a good spot to get back closer to that top 1K. So that's my thought process. But
and that's the thing. If you're looking at if you're looking at break evens, you're not going to make up positions in the rankings.
Not all the time. Yeah, sometimes, of course. But.
Last winner on the list, Meany and Munster, named to. Munster into his regular position of 5'8". Meany back at fullback. Did you hold on to Meany?
No, I sold him last week. I didn't want to really play one of the cheapy centre wings. I brought in To'o.
Yeah,
that's why I was a bit angry they didn't get the pass. But they both have the bye next week. So it's sort of going to be an awkward question, I guess, for people that have, say, Harry Grant or Munster and then a not very good backup. Of are you fine playing your backup next week, or are you going to make moves by trading out these big guys?
Well, that was my next topic, which wasn't on the list, but I was going to. No, it wasn't on the list, but Harry Grant, leading into Origin, Harry Grant, I guess, and Cameron Munster can be put in this boat as well. Which one of these are sells leading into Origin? And if they are, is next week the week? Who wants to put their hand up for this one? Because I'm not sure if anyone's passionate about this.
Nah, I'm not passionate about it, but just the thought is I think there's more 5'8" banging the door down to get picked in your Supercoach side than there are hookers, I think, would be my only theory if you are going to sell one.
5'8's a bit of a wasteland, to be honest.
No, I'm saying your Walkers, your Browns,
Kalen Pollock,
as opposed to Reid Marnie, who I've got, who is a bit yuck, but he's going to play Origin as well. Like,
Mikey, what's your thoughts on it? I know you Jake. What do you want to say?
No, I was just kind of going to say a few options. A lot of people seem to be thinking about Jeremy Marshall King. He's been killing at the moment, scoring tries, having try assists. So a lot of people thinking Harry Grant to maybe him next week. The issue with that is the Dolphins have the bye in round 11, so you're going to be stuck in the same scenario in that round. Say you've got a week or go. So if you don't have to worry about it, you've got Cook and bloody Harry Grant as your two hookers, so you don't have to worry. But if people say have a Sonny Luke, it's going to be a bit awkward. Reece Robson, he's been a bit down, but he's another one that plays the bye and doesn't have a bye up until round 14 or 15 or something.
14 probably, yeah.
So he's one guy you could look at, and he's quite heavily discounted as well.
I think in the hooker position, don't look at round 13 because round 13 is so insignificant to take when you're trading him in so early. Get in your Damien Cook if you think he's the next best option. Get him in now. You don't have to worry about him. He's pumping out 55s minimum, which it's not the greatest, but at least we know he has that upside at hooker, and he doesn't have that flaw that's terrible. Reece Robson, I don't know. I think just Harry Grant's so above the rest that it's so hard to move on from him. But I do think he is a sell potentially next week, Mikey.
I don't like selling him. I don't. Plan better. Get a decent hooker. If you bought in Sonny Luke or someone like that and you have Harry Grant, then that's poor planning in my eyes. Might sound rough, but he's not going to get rested around Origin, all that stuff. And I understand that the Storm have a bye in round 9. Then they come back for only a few weeks and then they're off in 13. But I know he scored that low score last week, but it's just you're going to need to get him back. And you talk about saving trades. But if I'm getting rid of him, then I'm wasting trades getting rid of him just to get him back. I'd rather do like a plan like you had, Sabs, and grab a Cook. Or I really like the Jeremy Marshall-King trade. It's just right now I think there's so many other better trade options that I think that's a bit of a luxury trade. But I think the solution around it is find a decent backup hooker that you can use. Like I'm just going to play Tanner Boyd next week, who keeps scoring 50. So I'd rather do that and just hang on to him because he could still go bananas in the week leading up to Origin. Like they'll probably carry utility on the bench in Origin, and he's not going to play 80 minutes, so he might not get rested.
The thing is, compared to previous years, there's no Brandon Smith. It's in there to deputise and
they're not cruising like they have been in the last few years. They're actually battling to get wins together, so might not have a choice.
Yeah, and like I traded him out pre-round 13 last year. I was happy with it during the Origin period, but I couldn't get him back in at the end of the year, and he killed it. So I think just holding on that one. And like with the buys this year, it's your top 13. Like you don't need to have someone in every position anyway. So it's a bit of a tough one because I think you do have to sell some of these players to get through the buy period, but maybe Harry Grant's not one of them. Had's a loser on the team list, and we've pretty much gone through all of them, but Brendan Hands, 236,000 at a 6 break even. He could have been one of our options to go a Tanner Boyd down to maybe even a Harry Grant if we had another gun hooker to bank some cash. But, I mean, he played 80 minutes and got 50-odd points. Looked good, but Josh Hodgson named to start.
Yeah, I mean, it was too good to be true, wasn't it? Was Hodgson? He was out with an illness or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was out with a bug.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was. I don't think it was ever really going to be a solid option, but I don't think Parra looked too bad with Hands there. Actually, I don't know what you guys think about Josh Hodgson's actual footy, but I think he looked all right. So maybe there's scope there for it in the future if he ends up playing more minutes. But yeah, I don't think it was ever going to really be too much of an option.
I think Parramatta looked better, but yeah, it's kind of an awkward one with Hodgson there. Guys, let's move on and then we'll wrap up the show. We'll answer some questions, so if you have any questions, ask them in. But guys, this is our start, move, bench, cut segment, which we're not actually doing that in particular, but I have a question and you guys need to answer it off the cuff. I'll start with you, Mikey, because you can ramble out of anything.
Yeah.
And I'll give the guys a bit to think about it. But Mikey,
this isn't fair because he might steal my players.
I haven't even read the thing that he posted, so I've got to do this on the spot. Let's go.
I probably should do you last, but
no, Mikey, I can do it on the spot.
If you had to pick one player to kick a field goal to win the game, one player to kick a goal from the sideline to win the game, and one player to score a try from nothing, who would they be?
Can it be from any era? Like, doesn't have to be current?
Yes.
Well, I know this sounds pretty cliche, but I'm going to go Nathan Cleary to kick the field goal. He's been great with it. The Iceman. I'll pick the Iceman to kick my field goal. The sideline conversion, I'm going Hazem El Masri. No brainer there.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Awesome. I know.
That's 2 from 2.
To score a try from nothing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, score a try with nothing happening.
Oh,
there's no chance you'll take mine here.
That's hard. I'm just gonna keep it all current since. Oh, actually, I did have him. I'm gonna say Latrell. I know he's a bum, but he seems to score tries when he absolutely deserves no right to score them. So I'm going him only because I'm under the spot, but I know there's a better option than that.
Hads, I'll go with you. Actually, no, I'll go with you, Hads. Hads, if you can pick one player to kick a field goal from anywhere to win the game, one player to kick a goal from the corner for you, and one player to score a try from nothing, who would they be?
Well, Mikey's taken 2 of my 3. So I will go field goal. I'll go DCE. There was a stat the other night. He kicked a ridiculous amount of field goals. Is that yours, Jackie? I can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. Both feet as well, left and right. Field goal. Sideline conversion. You know, I'll go Nathan Cleary sideline conversion. Anyone but Mitch Moses to win a game on the bell on the sideline. And then a bit controversial given the current climate, but
I was going to say this guy.
But to create a try out of nothing, I'm going to go Jared Hayne.
Yep. That's the disadvantage of going last.
Yeah. Damn it.
Jake, if you had to pick one player to kick a field goal to win the game for you, one player to kick a goal from the sideline for you, and one player to score a try from nothing, who would it be? Who would they be?
Well, my first 2 options have already been taken for the field goal and the goal kicking. Field goal, James Maloney, he kicked a lot of field goals and a lot of clutch ones through his years, so I'll go him for the field goal. Goal kicking, Daryl Halligan. I mean, I didn't watch much of him, but he was a top goal kicker. And try out of nothing. See, I always think of this, and it just gives me nightmares when I used to rewatch the 1999 semi-final when who was it? Anthony Mundine was a Blacklock one. Tore us apart in 1999. So maybe them.
Interesting. Well, mine. If I have to, do I have to read the question to myself?
No.
I guess we already know the question. It's fine. So mine would be, I guess I would have chosen Nathan Cleary. I know that stat with DCE is a bit different and like he kicks so many, but I think, no joke, I think Cleary's going to top him by the end of his career. He's just so crazy. He's been so good this year as well. But I'm going to go Latrell Mitchell just because I think he can absolutely hit them from anywhere. I mean, we saw Cleary against Parramatta the other week. He hit them from anywhere, but Latrell is pretty similar. I know there was a Melbourne versus the Roosters game where he slotted one from outside 40, which was crazy. There was a game earlier this year. Who was it against? It was to tie the game up. I forget who it was against, but he did it this year as well. I think he's the guy for the field goal to kick a goal from anywhere. I don't know why my mind keeps levitating to this player. I could pick Andrew Johns. I loved Andrew Johns, and I think he's probably the guy I'm going to pick. But my mind keeps levitating to Luke Cavell. I thought he was a gun goal kicker when I was watching footy growing up. He was, I loved his goal kicking. I loved him. And to score a try from anything, I'm going to steal yours, Hads, and Jared Hayne is the guy. I just remember him. Growing up watching footy, he could do absolutely anything, and I don't care about the current climate or anything. I think he's still done what he's done in rugby league.
Nice.
I'm
surprised no one said Mark Riddell to kick the goal for them.
He was actually not a great kicker, was he?
No, it was just funny.
I changed my Latrell to Ben Barber. I feel like Ben Barber used to score off nothing all the time.
Fair enough.
That's
How about Jermaine Osako to win the game? Could you
Oh,
imagine the little?
He could do it, but
I could also say Christian Inu or something, or just little smirk.
That's the smile before he kicks.
Yeah.
Sean Johnson is a good shout for all three, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you change your mind if it was for all three?
Yeah. Or I'd probably go.
Do they have to create the try themselves?
Yes.
As in, like,
well, they can set it up, but they've got to create it from nothing. So
I'd go Cleary. Yeah.
Cleary? Mikey Cleary?
Yeah.
Would you go Cleary?
Yeah.
He has to score the
Or
try,
Andrew,
though.
or Andrew Johns.
So he
Well,
does
he
have to
scores a
score
lot
the
of
try.
tries
You
for
just
a
said
half.
he can set it up as long as he creates it from nothing.
Fair,
But
fair.
he scores a lot of tries for a halfback, man. He can do it.
He does. He does. Future immortal, no doubt.
I'm in
Hope so.
10. No.
All right, guys. Captain choices and bold predictions. Gaff Braz says that hand signal was sus. Oh,
The Mark Riddell one.
we'll start with you, Mikey. What are your bold predictions and your captain choices this week?
I'll go captain choices first. I'm going to go VC on Hines. There's no way. I think too risky to not have anything on Hines this week. So VC can loop. And the C will be on one of my new purchases on either Manu or Garrick. Not sure which one yet, but I'm feeling a pod captain this week. So it'll be one of them. And yeah, maybe a little bit risky leaving out Tom, but I believe these two can hold fort with Tom.
Yeah.
Not looking 100% fit.
Yeah, that was my thing. No, Tom?
No, I'm not going to do it. Like he's in the loop too, but these other two are ahead. I'm feeling this is a week for a pod captain. I got the Dylan Brown one wrong, so I'm due for one. So one of those two, I think.
Jake, where are you going this week with captain choices?
The obvious one I think is going to be VC Hines, C Turbo, but I think I'm going to slap the C straight on Hines and not worry about looping because it's burnt me a couple of weeks ago. So C straight on Hines, I think the Sharks could destroy both edges of the Bulldogs, and I think there could be quite a lot of points against them.
Ads?
Yeah, I'm with Jakey. I'm just going to go straight Hines. If I knew for 100% certain that Tommy was all good to go and it wasn't a bit ginger, I'd consider Garrick or Tommy. But I'm just going to stick with the safe play.
Well, mine's VC Hines, captain on Tommy. I can't go past Tommy, but I think straight Hines option is he's just been so good, even against the Roosters, like scoring against such a good side. It's hard to go past him. Jake, what are your bold predictions for the week?
I'm going to try and death ride Garrick and Manu. I reckon they both go under 80 this week. And I think Nico is the highest scoring player of the round.
Ads?
I'm going to go, not that it is relevant, of course, but it's mainly because he's coming up against my Panthers. But I'm going to go Latrell sub 50. And I was going to go a Hines one, but I won't. I'm going to go Dylan Brown to finally bounce back with a ton against the Broncos. And when I say bounce back, he hasn't been abysmal, but when I bought him 3 weeks ago, and he's done not a whole lot since.
I like it. Mikey?
So mine's going to be for Jake to get all of his wrong, and it's going to be Hines under 100, Garrick and Manu over 100.
Interesting. I'm going to go Turbo, DC above 100, Cleary above 100 versus the Rabbitohs, and also Hines above 120.
A lot of big scores in there.
Yeah, a lot of big scores in there.
Big week.
Round, you reckon?
It's going to be a big round. It's going to be a big round.
We've got a couple of questions here. Nobody keen on Thurston. I did think about Thurston, though. Like,
I forgot about Thurston.
Especially with the goal kicking. I think he was...
The 2015 grand final really did him some injustice missing that one, I think. If he slotted it, I might have gone.
But then he got the field goal. So
Yeah,
he can do all three. He's another candidate for the all three.
Actually, to be fair, you could argue that he was the person who created that Kyle Felt try. Like obviously Morgan iced it, but like he had to kind of bump off a few blokes and throw the ball. But I heard he was on the Bloke in a Bar podcast, Jonathan Thurston, and apparently he thought he got it. Like when he kicked the ball, like he said, as a goal kicker, you know just when it's gone in and when it hasn't. And he was so sure when it hit his boot that it went in. Love them type of stories. Trades. We'll finish off with what our exact trades are this week. I'll start with mine. Mine is Latrell to Teddy, Khan Piera to Hayes Dunster, and Preston to Hines. It's the only way I can afford Hines.
Is that how many boosts does that leave you with, Savs?
One left.
Ooh.
One left. Yeah. It's
maybe right, Savs.
It's getting grim, but I think getting in Hines is a priority.
Yeah,
so
you have to.
But I was considering going Munster to Brown to do it, but I don't think I actually can do it by doing that. Maybe I can because I wasn't selling Preston before. I'll have to look into that. Hads, what are your trades this week?
I'm going to go. I don't know. I don't know exactly who I'm going to get in yet, but I'm going Carraz, Campiera, and Preston to Garrick. I think Mike has convinced me. I think I'm going to go Manu, and then I'll have to find someone else. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think Mike has got me over the line.
Oh, that's a good or a bad.
He's a good salesman, Mike. He's a good salesman.
Mikey, what are your trades?
So yeah, kind of already revealed them because I assume you guys did at the start. But yeah, I'm selling Khan Pereira down to Jared Croker. Don't like Hayes Dunster. I'll take. I know Savage it could be back, but I'm going to take the risk. Jared Croker's kicking goals. I'm going to go him. Then that gives me enough money to go Carraz to Garrick and Taruva to Joey Manu with 150k left in the bank, and I've still got 2 boosts. So I really want to Matto, but yeah, the 5'8" thing swayed me.
And Jake.
Me, I'm AKP and Cardi to Sione Katoa and a bit of a pod, Ola Kawatu.
Ooh, I like it. What's the thought process there?
I mean, he probably plays Origin, but
Yeah,
I think he's due. I mean, I got him last year and he did wonders for me. Same with Katoa, so I thought surely it strikes twice, doesn't it?
Over Matto? Can you afford Matto, or do you just think?
No, not quite. I can if I move, say, a Preston instead, but I don't know. I just want to play a little bit different, go against the pack. I've kind of been following the pack the whole season so far, so a few little pod moves, and hopefully it pushes me up into the top 1,000. If not, well, we go again.
Very interesting. I think when I first heard you say that, I thought you would have assumed that he wasn't going to play Origin, but I think with Colin Matungi out, pretty much guarantees Olukwatu Origin.
I think Crichton's back now as well. I think it depends on Liam Martin, how he comes back in Tammy.
Well, Liam Martin and Crichton. I think he makes the side either way.
You might not have enough time, Martin. I think. Like, what's he out for again? Another few weeks now. He might not have enough games under his belt.
Well, hamstring. What's that? 4 weeks.
Which is the second one too. In NRL physio said 30% reoccurrence when they came back, and he did it. So I can't imagine it's any good.
Yeah. So if he's not back, if he is back, best case, and Crichton's back, maybe they both play on the edge. Olukwatu. I just don't see Murray playing on the edge for the Blues.
Yeah, maybe Martin come off the bench and play a bit of middle if he needs.
But it is Freddie, and Freddie does some weird stuff every Origin. So.
Tarek Sims might be back there.
Oh yeah, it's true.
He'll drop Toto as well. Like Toto's
too short.
He's too short. We want someone a bit bigger. Suwali and bloody Campbell Graham. All right, guys. Cheers for tuning in. Cheers for coming on once again, Hads. It was good to see you, Mikey, after a few weeks. Been working in Bathurst, so you're doing remote work at the moment, podcasting.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks it's going to be the same for the next 2 weeks. So, well, then again, it is Anzac. It's Anzac Day on the Tuesday, so probably have a different. When's team list? Does it happen on Wednesday? I haven't even thought about that.
Good question. I think it will be Tuesday, but
can it be because there'll be a game? Well, there's 2 games.
Yeah.
It can't be.
So the 2 games that are on the Tuesday probably will just name whatever the team was this week, and then they'll obviously have an extended bench.
No, but the Monday games usually get another day, and they name it on the Wednesday. Usually,
well, the Melbourne game's still not out
after.
It is there. It is there. Just the description saying Manu's at 5'8". It's all a bit weird. I guess we'll get some clarification during the week. But that being said, our show is next Wednesday, not Tuesday, because we're not recording on Anzac Day. So
I'll be out for that one, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So if Manu and Garrett go big, make sure
we'll make sure to give you a shout out. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck with your SuperCoach this week. See you later, guys.